All right, we're live, right? Yep. All right. Well, hey everyone, welcome to the April 20th, 2021 Facilities Committee meeting. We'll go ahead and jump right in. We're going in order on this list, right, Frank? On the agenda here.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if you wanted to bounce around at all, or we'll just go right.
I think we're good.
All right. So we're going to start with a field maintenance and turf plan sort of update. Right. This is something we generally do annually here at this. I guess maybe we didn't do it last year with COVID going on, since we weren't using those facilities, unfortunately, last spring. But generally an annual thing we do here. So what do you got?
So you guys mentioned the plan that was done in previous years. Joe and I were talking. So what I did was we actually did an evaluation of what's been happening, and based off of that plan, and then also creating a schedule for things to happen. One thing I realized is there's not a clear schedule, maintenance schedule of the fields. So we're focusing on creating that. We're going to utilize School Dude, which is our maintenance system, to actually put it in. So if it's going to be aerating in the fall, we're going to put September aerate, so it's clear and clearly communicated, because that's one thing we realized not been happening. And we also then did a turf equipment inventory, so we have an understanding of what we have and how we're using it. So a few things we looked at: the mowing, that's 1/3 rule of leaf blade, we do, and we leave the clippings, so that was one thing that was there. The spring fertilizer application, we have not fertilized in a few years, I guess. So the fertilization is one thing that we're doing. We do have the supplies. So we know we have them, and so we're creating a plan to be able to fertilize appropriately based on the turf plan that was given to us. Aerating in the spring, it hasn't been done in years. We do not have a core aerator. We have a seed aerator. So we don't have the one that does the plugs and takes the plugs out, as was explained to me. We can rent those. I mean, they did say that you could buy one, but that's ridiculous to spend that kind of money for, just a couple of years. But we can easily rent one to do aeration. It does say that you have to, if you do it in the spring, you got to let them rest for a little while. The problem is that right now our fields are pretty much in use, so I think we might have missed the mark on aerating, but I'm still waiting to check on that to see if we can find a time to do it. Like the soccer field over at the satellite field makes me nervous because we're using it so often, but I really would like to get an aerator out there and just aerate the core and do it. Spring overseeding in April and May, we have the seed, we haven't done it. So, and I guess that hasn't been done in a while either. So those are things that we have to really focus on and get done. Irrigation, I'm trying to figure out how much has been used. I haven't seen the irrigation used. We have irrigation on the football field and soccer field. The satellite field, though, on the other hand, what we found out was we do have a water wheel over at the satellite field, but this is what I was told. So we have to really figure this out. It takes 6 hours to make one pass, and it takes 4 passes per field. So that doesn't really add up to time efficiency or even like good use of the water. So, and if we're going to fertilize over there, we got to make sure we have a solid plan to irrigate and water. So that we need to, Jim and I were talking about that today. We have to really figure out a better way, and if there's something out there that's going to be more beneficial for us, because it doesn't seem like, if that's how our water wheel works, it doesn't seem like it's going to be the best option for us.
Yeah.
Any questions so far?
No. Couple.
Yeah, go ahead, Trish.
Go ahead, Rob. You can go first.
Oh no, I don't really have any questions. Just comment on, it sounds like there's some stuff in the plan that we haven't been doing yet. I mean, I totally get that. I mean, last year, look, was a March, things were thrown into disarray. I certainly wouldn't have expected us to be running around getting all the field maintenance. And again, one of the reasons why we had requested the plan, written the plan, was we've candidly had issues in the past just getting in a rhythm, right? So it's totally understandable kind of growing pains there, and this this is, I guess, the first real spring to sort of get it underneath us. And it sounds like you've got a good plan, managing, and I'm sure if and when we get a operations and facilities person, that'll help as well.
Yeah, that'd be
But yeah,
One thing, Trish, and then I'll answer the question because I just want to go over spring turf maintenance. Rolling of the uneven grass, we did that. They had to find a roller and work through it, but that's been done, so that's good. And then proper mower maintenance, enhanced fields, we're doing that as well. So, go ahead, Trish.
If you seed it, how long do you have to let it rest?
So I don't know those answers,
Right.
but I feel like if we're seeding it and utilizing it for the fields,
Yeah.
that's like, to me, I go, that just doesn't make sense, right? So
Right.
I
yeah,
feel
you
like
can't. Yeah.
So the goal is going to be fall turf maintenance on that.
Okay.
We have a plan in the fall for aeration, overseeding, to happen in the fall, because the more you overseed it, also it creates better turf. It allows your weeds to be able, it just does more for overseeding. So we're going to do that in the fall. We have an aerating and overseeding schedule. Or we're going to overseed in mid-August.
Okay. I was going to say you can't do it too late or it won't
Yep.
grow. Right.
So if we overseed in mid-August, just schedule carefully on the fields. We should, because we'll schedule it before the fall sports begin to give us a little time. And then we do the aerating also at that same time. It should allow for the fall to be able to give us a good, strong base.
Yeah. Great. Then I was just curious with fertilizers, what is used that's safe?
Yeah, I don't know. So we do have some on already purchased for the district. I'm imagining, and I shouldn't assume. I should check. I'm assuming what was bought was approved in green.
Right. I would think so.
Yeah. So
There's a range of what's approved versus what's, better for the environment. Obviously, if you have stuff, that's one thing, but if we're looking to buy stuff.
yeah, I'll find that out.
Yeah. So I think there were some specific recommendations for both brands and something else in that one of the reports that was generated. So maybe we can. I remember going over some of that when we had those consultants generate this report, and it had to do with both the seed being selected for the overseeding as well as the the fertilizer. So I think there are specific, when you're doing this type of turf maintenance, Trish, I think there's specific types of stuff they funnel you into.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I was more concerned when we're talking about environmental policy, the policy meeting, and fertilizer falls right into it. There's some that's very bad for groundwater and bad for the environment in general, and then there's others that aren't. So I was just trying to bring up that maybe that can be considered if it's not in the plan.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to micromanage.
So I think
maybe that's something else we could ask those consultants about. Sorry, maybe we bring them back in, over the summer or the.
Well, that's getting an operation maintenance supervisor. That's their job.
That'd be a good thing for him or her.
Yeah, that's what they do. So, that's why getting someone who can do that.
Perfect.
I don't know the answer. Their job is to find that answer.
Agreed. I was just trying to bring up awareness.
No, it makes complete sense. But I don't know the best answer on that.
No. I didn't really expect you to whip one off.
If I did, that would have been pretty amazing.
Yeah, that would have been.
So, and then, pest management, I don't believe there's been a lot done, so we have to look and see if that's needed or not. You need an application license for it. Really, that's all dependent on if it needed or not needed grubs, or there's other ways to be able to address those things. That was something they mentioned in the plan, but I have my own feelings on pest management. So, I would like to bring an outside consultant in to see if there's better ways to handle that. It's one thing about fertilizer. It's a whole different thing when you're spreading pesticides. So, so I kind of have my own feelings.
Also, we have a bunch of geese over there and they eat grubs.
Oh, there's a ton right now.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your pest management.
Yeah. And we did look at turf equipment for our inventory. So we have a 14-inch mower deck, John Deere tractor, a 72 Tower mower, 72 Jacobson mower. We have a seed aerator. So that's where we don't have the corator. We have a turf tiger. Basically, I told that was a spreader that is able to get those things out. We have a roller, and now we have the field painting robot. So for maintenance stuff, those are the things that we have. The field painting robot is what we found out is it's going well. It takes roughly 5 minutes more for a soccer field to get done in comparison, but the lines are like pristine. The football field, since we're adding so many hash marks and different things, it does take a couple more hours for it to get done. And we're working out kind of the blips and blops that go along with that. But, it's also, you can set it for 15 minutes and let it go, but then we're finding out that the paint, using that much paint, you still got it. And it's the same thing it was with the other place. Your paint goes and you still got to do it. So there's always issues. But, you know, we're still evaluating that, but it definitely, I mean, Rob, you saw the field for the football field. They had, Joe, you said itself that there's a lot.
Looks pretty awesome.
The athletes playing on the field are so excited with the quality of the lines and the product. And we did talk a little bit today about maybe reducing, like there's a lot of unnecessary marks on the football field. We could probably reduce some of that time. So like Frank said, we're working through some of the new issues that came up with the use of it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really it for the turf maintenance. Is there questions? Like, you know, like Joe does a nice job, I think, balancing out who's on the field, who's not. This year is kind of a wash because, you know, I'm sure he wants this every year with sports back to back to back to back like this.
Have any other questions? Thank you very much for fitting all the extra seasons in.
Yeah, and I feel like we're gonna, after this year, we've been doing a lot of talking over the past few months about turf in our facilities. I really feel like give a year and we're gonna have a nice solid plan under control and moving forward.
Thank you.
Bye, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Now I can take my mask off because I'll be by myself. All right. Other stuff or?
No.
Moving
I
on?
don't have any.
Moving on.
I'm going to text Michelle Lesperance in a minute. She's our architect. All right. So roof update. I shared with you a report through Carlisle. So here is what we found. The 2014 roof that is over the cafeteria, middle school gym area. If you go into our school and it was open, you would notice that there is a leak and there's always a bucket underneath the roof next to the cafeteria. And the reason being is we finally figured out that it's coming down and following the lines of the joists. So if it rains 2 days later, you see it, or a day later, we see it. We've done everything to try to figure out that one leak. And I mean, that was here when I got here. I was like, this is ridiculous. How do we still have this leak? Carlisle came in and looked at it, and what they ended up finding was there's a lot of damage right now because what happened was when they did the thing, they did not put flashing. So when they installed the roof, the installer did not put flashing down, and that's what our architect has told us. So now what we are doing is now we're going after the installer, and we're saying, you didn't do this right. This was only 7 years ago. We want to make this right. So, you know, we're going to be, Jim might even say, we're going to be fighting the good fight on this one, but, you know, they need to make this right and do what they need to do to be able to address it. But we at least found out where the issue lies now. If we didn't find out the issue and we didn't do it, we'd have major rot going on. I mean, there's some issues. As you saw from the picture, you can already see that there's some water damage and damage going on up there. So we want to get this addressed as soon as possible. All right, that's what I got with that. Any questions on it?
No.
No, roof leaks are really tricky.
It really is.
You know. But
We-
hopefully this will be it.
We got the one in the middle school. We got that one. We got the one in the pack. You know, so
That's good.
we're starting to bang out, get these leaks, but there's still a few left. All right, radon update. So we redid the radon. Sherry, thank God we have Sherry Strain from our health and safety person from BOCES. We did do a radon. We did find that 2 of the rooms that we tested prior did still come back hot. So we have a mitigation company coming in, give us estimates, and we're going to mitigate the 2 rooms that came back hot. What we did find though was all the other places, like the middle school gym and other places, didn't come back hot. So now we're working with Department of Health for guidance on these to say, all right, what exactly should we do? What shouldn't we do? How do we address this situation? So, you know, we're going to mitigate what we can mitigate based off of those 2 tests. And then we're waiting for Department of Health guidance on the rest of it. I want to give
So,
oh, go ahead, Rob.
yeah, I'm looking at the report here. The 2 are the which
109
say.
and
Yeah, 109 and 139B.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so is the limit 4? Because I see one that's 3.9 and it's fine, but the 4 is red.
Yeah, limit is 4.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not at the point where it's like a imminent safety issue right now.
109 and 109D, they're the same area, so we're going to address those.
Okay.
So the one that's 3.9 is 109. It's
Mhm.
apart.
Okay.
No, I mean, our windows are wide open. We have clear ventilation. We're doing through that. You know, we're just making sure that we want to address the situation as we know of it. Lead testing for water. I wanted to give you an update on that as well. We did our lead testing for water. And again, having an operations and maintenance supervisor will be great. Because when they did the lead testing for water, they used the older ones and they pulled samples that were already labeled non-potable, meaning that they tested ones that we knew that already were not for drinking. So you're not supposed to test non-potable ones, right? Anything that's labeled non-potable, you're not supposed to test. Well, guess what? They tested a couple that were non-potable. I caught the first ones for the first time they did it. I found out about it and I addressed it and they were taken off the high school run. But the middle school, they tested 3 areas that were non-potable. And of course they came back hot. So I'm like, all right, they came back hot. We got to address it. And I go to the room and we do some searching and we find out, you know, oh no, wait, they're already labeled non-potable. So they should have never been tested in the first place. All of the potable water and all the other ones that were labeled, everything came back out within range. Nothing was high. So that was good. We're still waiting on the high school numbers. That's elementary school and middle school. But we do have to post now and work with Department of Health that we did have ones that were high, but we already can say that that was an error. They were already labeled non-potable, and we're going to already, again, state that clearly.
So if they're labeled non-potable, they're allowed to be high, and it doesn't require mitigation.
Because you don't drink them, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So like science lab, classroom, you're not drinking that water.
When you say it's labeled non-potable, like literally there's a label on the sink?
Literally, it says
So
non-potable.
no one would make an error of using it. Okay.
Yeah, and no one should have made an error of testing it, you know, because I mean, it said non-potable, and there's a clear signage on it that we get from these. So
you don't feel there's
Yeah.
any risk to anyone?
no risk at all.
Okay.
I noticed during the vaccination clinic over the weekend, the restrooms over there, that wing, all the sinks, there's these big old like labels right in front of them that says non-potable.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and it was I was like, ooh, what's that? But it was very noticeable.
Yeah, we want to make sure people know, do not drink out of these.
And now I know. I mean, I know what it means, but now I know why.
And that's why, you know, and again, I think that's why the district has invested in, you know, we're doing an investment in water fountains. We're making sure we have the water bottle fillers, you know, and with the filters, we have all of those things for a very specific reason, you know. Capital project phase 2 update, if we're good to move on. Hi, Michelle. Oh, you're still muted. I can unmute you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it doesn't give me an option. Okay, so phase 2, the one that's going on right now. So we completed abatement over the April break in the science prep room and in above ceiling in some of the corridors in the high school. Of what was above the ceiling was pipe fittings. Insulation on the pipe fittings in the science prep room. I haven't been there to see the condition of it now, but we took out the floor and the countertops of the old cabinetry.
So that room is completely bare at this moment.
Okay.
There's nothing in it. So it's friable and non-friable materials. The friable materials are the ones that can break off and go into the dust. The non-friable ones are the ones that are less worrisome because it's harder to get into the breath. The friable material that we have in the district and it has to be removed as part of the project has been removed now. That's it. It's all gone. It was the pipe fittings above the ceiling. So there is no more friable materials. You know, and those are the ones that even like the asbestos abatement people and our air ones, those are the ones that you have to be more concerned with. The non-friable is the caulk and the things that are a lot harder, to, you know, that doesn't break off and go into the air. That was all the stuff that was in the science room, majority of that. And the next time we have to abate the tech rooms, and that's the window area. That's caulking, and so that's all non-friable. So it's much safer in regards of being able to do that. So the worst part of the abatement's been done.
Yep.
I just wanted to share that.
Hey,
We have. Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
So we have been working on getting the rooms clean and cleared. The science and tech rooms have been great. They've been doing a really good job. We're actually going to be able to get in the tech rooms 2 weeks earlier than planned. The buildings and the building principals and the teachers have been awesome. So there's a plan to get us in 2 weeks early. It's really what you want to get done. And those tech rooms, we've been working on all of that. And, you know, we've been picking like the floor, looking at what color the floor is going to be, purple and gold, just so you know. It's going to be really cool. So there's a lot of cool things happening, but we're on, I think overall for phase 2, we're in a really good spot right now.
Yeah. And I think the MEP contractors are going to start work in the elementary school on your heat pumps in May.
Perfect.
So that will be going on because that's mostly contained in the boiler room. So they are not, you know, intermingling with any of the students. And I don't even know if that's going to be happening during school time. I don't know what Jason's worked out with them as far as work periods. But yeah, as Frank said, we're working on the flooring. You probably can't see it very well, but here it is. So
Is that the new one with less yellow, or is that the one with
he just emailed me today actually and wanted to know percentages. So I told him to up the purple 1%, down the yellow 2%, and so then he'll get us another one.
The floor is literally going to be purple and gold
And gray and white.
and white. So
Yeah. So you know, then I think, you know, we pretty much got most or not, if not all of our submittals in. You know, we're waiting for like paint from the GC. So we'll have to, you know, pick whatever. It's pretty much beige or off-white, so that's not going to be a hard one. But I think that's pretty much all we have outstanding to do.
So now the hard part is just getting it done in a time frame that we can open school back up again.
Yeah, but you know, Perry is pretty happy with the extra 2 weeks, and he's pretty confident that we'll get him in there.
Yeah, it was pretty clear that if I'm giving you 2 weeks, you better use it.
Yeah.
And I said that nicely, much more nicer than I did at the meeting, I think.
Yeah. No, I think they're all getting the point that you know, things didn't go so well last time, so we need it to go better this time.
Good. Any questions on phase 2? Awesome. So I invited Michelle here so we can just talk a little bit about the possibility of the transportation facility and the elementary school and answer questions and kind of go through it. I will tell you that I've been looking at the old plans, the old presentations that have been given regarding safety and all the other stuff. You know, again, you know, we don't have land besides the satellite field. We looked at that land and those facilities. We did meet with transportation and talked about what their need would be and kind of went over that. My one suggestion is if we use that satellite field is not do it the way that originally was planned. The way that was originally planned is you would go around and you go down and you go in and you go back further. I actually said maximize where we are and use it right when you go in. You know, so as you walk into that transportation, that satellite field, you build your transportation station there. So then you have the remainder of all that green space and all that area. You're lessening your infrastructure, you know, and your costs will go down, and you can be able to maximize all your spacing. The facility itself that we were looking at the transportation facility that we were discussing, again, very small. We want to look at a few. We want to go take runs. It's bare minimum of what it's going to be. The one bell and whistle that I've asked for is a game bathroom. And so that's a multiple bathrooms. So with an outside door and inside door, so you can alarm it. I've had them at, Michelle actually was a part of a project we did in another district. And it had an outside bathroom like that, and it was awesome for facilities. So you would give that facility a year-round bathroom that can be opened and locked for and used for our community. So, and that's not really that much more, and it's not a huge bell and whistle, but it's a nice little perk if you're being able to build something like that. And the way that we would move the transportation facility, if you did it that way, is you then would create extra spacing and parking as well. So we can take back some of that other space that's over there. So there's some room. Any question about that area or any thoughts or anything you want to know? Michelle's here. And then I want to talk about elementary itself.
So you would use what's now a soccer field? And then you just move the soccer field?
Well, that, or you would lose that soccer field because there's 2 other soccer fields that are already down there. So you might lose that soccer field, but you would try to still keep a lacrosse field and baseball field.
Got you.
So you would try to restructure and and then Michelle and I were talking about that. But you would lose one. I mean, you're going to have to lose one. But I mean, we're a pretty lucky school that we have 7 soccer. We have the soccer field here, we have 3 there. Then you have the fields down at the elementary school. I mean,
yeah,
we would still try to maximizing it. And if you put it in that way, I feel like you can actually, maybe I'm wrong, Michelle, but I feel that's like the most maximizes our space best if we do it that way. Am I wrong?
Well, it leaves you with the 2 backfields and the lower lacrosse field. And, obviously we have to land on a final size for the building. And then we have to get our site consultants to place it on the land, on the site. It's a little bit of a slope as you come up that drive into there. So, obviously we'll probably have to do some retaining wall or something to get it as close to that corner that we were talking about. But, I mean, yeah, you're going to lose whichever field that one is right there.
And maybe restructure the baseball field so the baseball field goes the opposite way and not towards the bus garage.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, yeah, I don't know which direction you're not supposed to be looking. What, north? Is it while you're batting?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. One direction you shouldn't. Well, you're not. It's just planning wise. You shouldn't be looking basically into the sun, I think. Or
Never knew that.
yeah, one of those. So yeah, so we talked about that. We looked at that. We had 5 old options of where to place the building, but obviously those were old. We're starting new.
And I shared those with you before, I believe.
Yeah, I think I gave them to you to give to them. But we're gonna start all over and just get what you guys want now, because I mean these were before I worked here and before Frank was here, before, long before any of us. So
What do you guys think? Do you think this sounds viable? Like, should we look at a whole nother direction? What's your thoughts?
I was watching Rob's face to see if he's going.
Trisha's face.
I feel like that's really our only option is to use our own land. I mean, we keep trying to find things, but so then it's just a question of how to do it best and minimize your loss and minimize your expense, right?
Yeah, and it's cheapest to use your already owned property. The site work is minimal.
Right. I mean, I don't know what else
Yeah.
could do.
Yeah, and Trish, you really said it last time. I think it was you or it was Rob. Someone said it was like $1 million or $2 million just for the road.
Right.
That's right. I
Right.
said, hold on a second. We can't do what we did last time because that just doesn't make sense.
No.
Yeah.
We gotta restructure it.
Mhm.
That's why we kind of were looking at that.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a good fresh approach. So fingers crossed.
so we'll keep looking. Elementary school. So we were talking about that one and kind of doing it. So Michelle and I were talking. We could easily get, Michelle, what was it, 5 classrooms?
I think I have it open.
And again, this is just very preliminary, right? Like,
yeah.
way
Did
up
you
for
say
discussion.
you said 5?
Yeah.
I think it was 4. I think
Wow.
maybe it was 4, Frank. It might have been 4.
Still wow.
But
classrooms with relocating the cafeteria, so you'd end up with a very large cafeteria / community room, which Frank and I were talking about could be shut off from the rest of the schools so that the community could use it after hours, or the whole cafeteria could be opened up and that could be used after hours by a Y care group, or whatever you guys have there.
or kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Kids Club uses the cafeteria as it is right now, but that'd be a much better, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what we can do is, the cafeteria would be very large. You could then put a spacer in the middle of that cafeteria and cut it in half. You
Yeah.
could have a community room entrance, so the community can come in and out of that area. There's a lot, I mean, because again, we're a community school. I mean, schools are always, COVID's not in. I mean, we're the hub of Voorheesville. So if we're going to do something like this, I think we really have to take in the fact that we need to make a community space.
Yeah.
The other thing, Frank, that is, I think, important is that we are relocating the main office and giving you that secure vestibule that you guys don't have right now.
Yeah, so that would be downstairs, down in that area, like closer to where that door is now. We're actually looking at possibly putting it in the kitchen where the window is. That would possibly be your new entrance going in. Then you can have your pupil personnel office, your high school office, your Smile Lodge, and you can have a conference room, dedicated conference room to that. So the conference room we have now, that becomes a classroom. So the classrooms we have, so it's reallocating all of those spaces. So you're getting more, right?
And the existing transportation office in the elementary school became right now, anyway, the new nurse. So the nurse will also come downstairs, so easier access to go pick up your kid who's sick. You just go right to the main entrance. And they'll be right across the hall.
We would have to build a corridor.
Yeah. A little one. It was, I don't even know if it was, might be 10, 15 feet tops would be the only addition that would need to be built to connect the piece of the elementary school to the angled piece of the existing bus garage to maintain a corridor between the two pieces.
The
And that
rest
would go
of
sort of at an angle between, like, just thinking about it in my head, like where that entrance is right now, where you come into the transportation office area, that sort of door, and then there's the bus garage in there. So it would be like an angle.
So if you're in the transportation,
like that's the general area.
So it'd sort of be the corridor that's like planned below the transportation office right now. I'd want to continue that straight over to the angled part of the existing bus garage. So I'd have to add a little corridor sort of in the back of the school, if you want to call it that.
So that corridor would be the in and out of the cafeteria community room area, because that's what the bus garage would end up becoming.
Yep.
And then you can lock that, secure it. That can be, clearly only for community as well. We would keep one of the bays back there. So one of those bays could be for dropping off and having areas to be able to have, supplies for the cafeteria and do all that. So that we use some of that infrastructure that's already there. Because we don't have that right at the moment. So, you'd be able to create that environment as well. And of course, we do a lot of green space, and, we'd have to do a lot of exterior work because, you want to make it match our building. You don't want it to look like, oh, all right, we just slapped a new entrance on. So we'd have to do a lot of, site work right there to make it acceptable, to be honest with you.
And I'm looking at my plan now. You were right.
I'm always right.
I had 2 classrooms upstairs where the offices were. I have a classroom where your cafeteria is now, 2 of them of varying sizes depending how big, and then 1 classroom in that like upper cafeteria level where it's the different level than the rest of the cafeteria, the stage area would become.
And that doesn't include the room that we're using for a conference room now. And that, it doesn't include the PPS room that we're currently using. So, I mean, we can really add space.
I don't know what those rooms are that you're talking
But that's
about.
2 more classrooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 smaller one and 1 larger one. So, I mean, right there, you've already increased your your capacity by 7, larger and smaller rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
Yeah, it's
cafeteria.
tremendous.
Huge.
Cafeteria is, I mean, these are just one line drawings, but the cafeteria gets probably doubles in size, at least a little more than doubles in size.
That's huge for look at, like, we have lunch capacity issues there right now, right? I mean, this is I don't know, it feels super exciting, like the potential here and the flexibility of the space and the being able to go in and out right from there. I mean, think about, like, when we do book fairs, like, sounds like an awesome spot for a book fair,
Yep.
park and you go right in, and you don't have to go walk through the whole school to get to the area of the school being used, whether it's like the small gym in the back or the cafeteria or it sounds really, really cool.
Yeah. And I think Frank mentioned I'd like to leave like the last bay, the closest to the creek, as a delivery entrance, for the kitchen. And then obviously it'd be a way more efficient kitchen than.
We forgot the other thing.
What?
Other thing. So the front where the cafeteria is, I'd want to create an outdoor classroom. So like an ergonomic outdoor classroom, like rocks or different areas where teachers can bring their kids and be able to have an outdoor learning space as well. So if we're going to do something, might as well do it fun, right? And have an environment. Because right now, the teachers would bring their kids. I mean, of course, we'd have to put boulders and make sure it's safe and do all these things. But we could create a sitting area out front where that cafeteria, where that bus garage is, and create an outdoor classroom area where then, we have that flexibility and that thing. It's nice. It's just an ability to add more to what we already have.
And I don't know if you noticed, Frank, but from my attempt at, making that elevation, we wouldn't need a ramp to go in. If we were to go in where the kitchen is now, we'd be able to regrade and not have to build a ramp.
I saw that and all I thought was, that's nice. That's nice. And it's always cheaper to remodel than it is to build, right? Somewhat, right, Michelle? Come on. So I think the other big question, and one of the reasons that I brought Michelle was, and we talked about this, is there's a couple things that have been brought up regarding the flooding. And also, and I talked to John Jojo about this and Michelle as well, is using a bus garage for a cafeteria, right? What's the environmental impact of that? So Michelle, can you speak to those two things a little?
Yep, we can have a consultant come in. We can have a consultant come in and do an investigation into the floodplain and into the chemical use, I guess you want to call it, of the bus garage. I don't know how they dispose of, the chemicals. I don't think they have the in-ground stuff like some of them do. So, obviously we would do soil testing. We would, do some testing in that area. But because the idea was to bring the level of the new, whatever goes in the bus garage up to the same floor level as the remainder of the school. So we wouldn't be down at the bus garage floor right now.
So, so if you look at that covered bridge to the bus garage, that's where we get our flooding. We never go 2 feet above, that area. Well, you do it and then we look. But I mean, that's where you'd be looking at it, is you raise your elevation up, so you wouldn't always be able to have that kind of situation. But that's what, if you guys are good with me bringing in the consultant, I kind of want to move a little bit further with making sure the flood consultant and the chemical consultant to see, help answer those questions, because I know that's been a concern.
Something I just thought of, Frank, and talking about, putting an outside classroom in, redoing this, we're going to lose some parking out front. So we might want to look at fixing that gravel lot that you have in the back there.
Yeah, see, but we can look at that. But the beauty part is I'm going to gain a ton of parking because
Right.
I have
Because the buses aren't going to be there, right?
Yeah. We'll have to.
And
obviously
also, don't
All the bus drivers won't be there.
What's
Right.
that?
And all
The
the
bus drivers.
cars won't be there.
Yeah, we'll have to relay out your spaces, obviously, along with the rest of everything.
And don't we not own that gravel lot? Like we can't make improvements to it because it's actually National Grid that's what
Oh.
somebody told me once. I don't know how
Oh,
true that
okay.
is, but that's
Heard that. I haven't been able to get to the bottom of that one yet.
oh really?
Yeah, so I need to still investigate that some more.
I don't know if we own it or have access rights.
Yeah, I think it's access rights. I think that's on our property.
So we could
Oh.
totally pave it. Maybe.
I don't see why not. I've
Yeah.
not heard of that one before, but
It's our
unle- if we don't have the last site plan I saw does not have, so my point is we would need a new site plan, a new site survey of the elementary school. The last one doesn't have any, any grading or contours or anything up near the area that we'd be looking at. So that would be another thing that we would probably want to do around the same time that, that we want to call in the testing agencies so that we have, current information on the site.
So again, this is just draft one, an idea one, but you can see that we can get a large amount of space, back just by making that one move. Really opens up the abilities for those classrooms. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns, things you want to see, things you don't want to see?
Just quick question about the kitchen. I know we've always been very limited with that little kitchen or what they can do at the elementary school. That might just be something to be aware of or consider, or maybe not, maybe it's too expensive. I don't know. And maybe the current system works great when the high school does it and brings it down.
So
Well, the kitchen would move over to, I'd be taking up the whole space of where the kitchen is,
Right. So
all the way over.
if you're redoing a kitchen, it just might be, I know that they've had limitations.
Do they cook there? I'm sorry. Do they cook there or they just warm things up?
okay.
Frank might know better, but I just know they have very limited ability to do too much because it's so small from what I have overheard.
It is small. So they
worked in there.
so they have a very limited menu first. And I think there's more that we can do down there with a good cafeteria. That's kind of the other aspect of this, is if we're going to create a cafeteria, we need to create a space that we can mimic, or at least try to bring down some of the things that are happening in the secondary complex down to that area. It's almost two separate cafeterias at this moment. There's really no connection between the two. So if we are going to add to it, we were going to look at, reconfiguring the cafeteria, what we can put in there, what's going to be beneficial, because you'd have to revamp your plan and everything else. And we're looking at a few years out. But yeah, that would be revamping that all together. And we'd also be looking at new entrances in and out and a good flow plan to get the kids in and out, because right now the flow plan is bad as well. So, we'd be looking at all that, Trish. But
I just wanted to make sure people are aware.
Yeah, I mean, we would have
that kitchen is. It's like this.
yeah, we have kitchen consultants that we work with as well, who I don't know if, did you ever meet John Woods, Frank, at Lansingburg? He was involved in when we did the high school cafeteria.
Yeah, I probably did. I was really involved in that. So
yeah, I mean, we have consultants that deal strictly with school kitchens and school cafeterias. So we would bring one of those guys in when we get to that point.
Well, in general, if it goes forward, that's another great selling point as we're trying to put together the PR piece.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I think there's a lot of things here that we're looking at that can, not just a space, because we know we're going to need space. I mean, that's clear. But all of the things that I think it can do for our kids and for our community, and some of the really cool things that we're trying to add that aren't a ton, right? Like adding an outside area for our kids isn't going to cost a ton of money, but it's going to add a whole new dynamic to what we can offer our kids and what it looks like when you walk into our building and see our building. To walk in and see a beautiful old building that's well kept, but yeah, a really cool outdoor area for our kids and community. It just changes. It makes it who we are. I think as Voorheesville. So I'm excited that we're looking at it, and hopefully we can get it to go through in the coming years. But
yeah, I'm all ready to keep drawing. So
any other questions for Michelle on that?
I don't think so.
I know, it's very exciting. Of course, anything's exciting before a price tag, right? But
Well, you need to understand something. Michelle will tell you this. I'm cheap.
I
So-
do like your idea of getting those few questions answered up front, though, about the flooding and if Rob agrees, and the what else did you say? Oh, the chemical.
Yeah, I think those
Because
have
those come up all the time, so we might as well just figure that out.
Yep.
upfront.
Yeah.
get it done now, right? That way we know
Yeah.
what the answer is.
Well, it'd be silly to do it later and then find out you had a problem after you invested too much time and energy.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. So good. All right.
I
Well,
like
thanks,
that.
Michelle.
Okay, how do I get out of here? Oh, all right, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and tech update. Excuse me. I shared a couple things with you, but I also want to talk about the servers quick. I've been talking too much. I apologize. The new servers and storage devices are in place, and the virtual servers are being migrated. Rob, you may not know what all this means. Okay, that means the old servers, the ones that we borrowed, just so you know, are still connected and in place. Once all the VMs and file migrations and backups are configured and tested, we'll be able to disconnect the old ones. Does that make sense to you all? Because it's like foreign language to me.
Sure.
All right. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's where we are with the server upgrade. But again, we're moving forward from something that was done in 2008 and not, done
Yeah.
to now, a full functioning server room, which, we need. So it's good. I shared with you a couple reports. I did redact a few things because the one report is something I use in my just my evaluation of staffing and evaluating data and how things are working or not working. So I didn't share that part with you. But what I wanted to share were the two items, one to show you how many tickets we've had by the months. And as you can see, like in the beginning of the year, we had a huge spike of tickets. And now it's actually kind of went down. Last night, it was funny. I had a person email me thanking me for the changes that we made and how fast the ticket response is now, and having someone at the elementary school. We had a staff member that, there were some issues in staffing and things happened, and we had to reconfigure our structures a little bit. But now that they're reconfigured, things are working really smooth. And again, it's also, as you're moving to a ticketing system, people have to get used to using a ticket, not calling somebody or texting them or catching them in a hallway, but using a ticketing system. And as you can see from our ticketing system, our duration of same day responses in comparison to outstanding responses of 2 days or 3 days, it's pretty impressive, our turnaround. And some things do take 2 days. Say you have to have a computer rebuilt or something happening. Not everything's going to be able to be done in a day. You need a new projector, you got to order it, you got to get the bulb, you got to get maintenance. So not everything can be done within a half an hour turnaround. But I think the resolution time looks pretty good. And I know we talked about giving an update on those things. Questions?
If there's something that like they can't live without, or they would love to have that same day, is there like a special ticket? Like, holy smokes, I really need this for today?
So there's a high priority ticket. I sent out a rubric to all the staff, and the technology committee and us went over it, and then we resent it again. So they understand how the rubric works,
Okay,
like what's high priority, what's not high priority. And so, they have to write high priority, and then they tell why, and, so they have an understanding. So they got to look at that rubric that we send. And there's very specific things, like you put in there, I have to teach my class in 5 minutes, and I don't
Right.
have, those things are, quick turnaround things.
so those are still a ticket, but there is a process where,
Everything's a ticket.
okay,
Yep.
Yes. So, and here's why everything's a ticket. And this happened. We didn't have internet at the elementary school, right? So the parent calls and says we don't have internet. They call Jeff. Oh, we have this issue. And then they call PJ, and he's like, okay. Or they call our tech person, but yet they don't have any other specifics of where the issues are, how it's impacted,
Okay.
what looks like it. So the ticket allows them to say, all right, let me know what the issues are. Our turnaround is like literally 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute. I mean, Mary Jude is like so good at like getting on tickets right away and the turnaround. But we need those tickets to know where our issues are, because we look back at those and say, how many of X have we gotten? How many of Z have we gotten? Where is our concerns? And those tickets really help us have an understanding. If you don't do that, it goes back to that very unstructured environment and things fall through the cracks. So
And then you don't have a good sense for really if you have a reoccurring issue, other than I think I got 4 calls. Yeah. I'm
Yep.
going to get it. I was just curious, you know, if you thought if someone was really desperate, they did have a very workable way to get something fixed.
Yeah, so sometimes things can't get fixed in a day though.
No,
So,
I know, but
so-
at least I feel like someone's trying to help them.
yeah, the lifeline is also the principal. So like, you know, I'm serious. That's what, and the principals know this. Like, I need this now. I'm not getting this done quick enough. And they're freaking out. They go to the building principal. The principal then becomes the advocate, right?
Okay.
And that's how it works. Even when I was principal, it was always like, look, if something's not working and it has to be done, and you need someone to advocate for you, that's what we're here for. Our job is to help support you and make sure you can do your jobs. So, and the principals know that, and we've been working through it.
Escalation.
Yeah. So in general, you're happy with the system.
From when I came here
Yeah.
to what I see now, yeah, I'm very happy.
Great.
From
Awesome.
from what we had in the past with technology to now, and what we're getting in our turnaround and our responsiveness. Yeah, I think it's much better.
That's exciting to
Yeah.
help them be able to do their jobs, especially with the setup this year. They really need technology.
Yeah, it is. And I think our tech committee, what they do is our tech team meets daily. They do these 15-minute kind of roundups.
Okay.
So they all meet with our server people, our network people. They go over all the tickets, they go over outstanding items, and they do this daily. So, I mean, that's never been done here. And, just to have that kind of communication, understand, and foresight, that's huge. And it moves us forward. So, it's a lot of stuff that people don't see, but it's a lot of things that are really moving us in a better direction. Nothing's ever perfect, but that's how things work.
Things always.
And
But
I
no,
mean, there's
that's
definitely
great.
a cultural shift. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Rob.
No, I was saying, I'm sure there's definitely a cultural shift to something like this, where if you haven't been using a ticket system, and especially at a smaller business or a smaller, you're used to like grabbing somebody by the arm, walking through the hallway, like, I need this and I need it now. But there's a lot of benefits, I think the users will see the benefits over time, right? Like every place I've been has had some kind of ticketing system. So living without it is kind of foreign to me, but you'll see. It provides accountability too to the people who are fulfilling requests, right? So now, hey, this has been sitting here for 2 days. Why has it been sitting here for 2 days? And it, well, no, you can't get the brush off with, oh wait, you asked me 2 days ago. Not, now there's data, there's metrics. You can see it moving through, longer requests. You can see what stage or what state you're at, or when your thing is coming. If you have something new that got ordered, maybe there's a shipping number that got dropped in there in the ticket over time, and you can see when it's coming for your classroom. So,
and that's the nice
I think over time it'll, yeah.
And that's a nice thing when people go, well, why is this so late? You can say it. Well, here, look. The other thing is, we have a good amount of staff, right? Let's be honest. I have 3 tech people. We have 2 in-house and our NARIC on-site person. So that's 3 tech people for our district. And yes, they do, some instructional stuff and other things, but I've been in districts where it's two people for 2,200 kids. And I've been in a district where it was 1 person for 800 kids in a district. So, for us, I feel like our staffing is pretty sound. It's just utilizing those staff in an appropriate way. And the ticketing system helps that.
I'm curious how it's working out with the with Shauna doing the Google didn't she get some position to help people with Google?
Yeah, she is doing that. She's done a very nice job in getting the information out. People still need to learn how to use that better. It's all about change and getting through it. That does seem to be working with instructional technology. Next year with Mary Jude going, I'm evaluating ways, because Mary Jude is going to be retiring, as we know. We accepted that. I'm evaluating ways to be able to fulfill her position with also getting an instructional technology specialist. Because that's the main component. You can have somebody who's going to do I don't want to say grunt work, but the grunt work of fixing the computers, doing all that stuff. But if we don't have somebody focused on instructional technology, it's all for nothing, right? So, I mean, that really is where, we need to go. So I'm looking at revamping that position a little bit to make sure that it's, it does all our ed data management, working on our systems, our eSchool data, all those, the very complex things that I don't understand. And then also focusing in on instructional management. Because I feel like our other two people are doing a pretty good job, handling that. We can work on that and the person can go back and forth. But we need a little shift of what we're doing as well. Not really facilities thing, because that's more instructional curriculum and professional development ways, but it all intertwines in the end.
That sounds very exciting.
Yeah, we're in a good place. I think
I'm sure the staff will appreciate that. So
yeah, I don't think they fully know that yet because I'm still in the process of figuring it out. And I'm the type of person who doesn't let it all out until I have a better plan.
Well, for sure. You don't want to have to take back any ideas.
Exactly. That's the worst.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you.
Anything else?
I don't think so. Rob?
I'm all good.
I feel like we should talk about ventilation, but I don't really have anything to ask. Just because we always do. Windows are open,
Yeah,
right?
we were.
So I will tell you this, Trisha, I am back evaluating for next year, just so you know. Because it never ends, right? Let's be honest. And I'm trying to see if we can retrofit, and it's still expensive with the 11s, but we're still using 11s. But I'm reevaluating the high school ones that we just put in, those univents in the high school, and I'm thinking those can, even though we might have some issues when it comes down to airflow, looking at what our airflow has been and done, I'm thinking we might switch to 13s in some of those newer univents for the high school. I really have to look at the airflow and have our engineers look at it, but I'm wondering if, because this is going to be a long range thing at this point.
I think you have to think through the trade-offs, and if you're going to increase capacity of who's in the room, that changes the calculation of the airflow that you need to clear out the aerosols because you have more people breathing.
Right. So that's my concern too, is if I go to 13s and I lessen my airflow capacity, right now I have great airflow. I'm getting 2 to 3 air exchanges per hour. Right.
Right, which I think was good for our current capacity, but I remember him saying, doing the calculation with how many people are in the room, and that was good. So I can't remember if you had 30 people in the room, what it would then be.
Yeah, well, I don't think we ever get 30.
I don't think you'll get to there with the.
Yeah, but that's exactly my concern. If we add the 13s and then increase capacity, am I doing more harm than good?
Yeah, we'd have to have an expert help us again.
He is. I've already asked him to look into it for us.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's probably almost like another rubric where it depends on how many people are in the room, and then
Yeah, but I've already asked Matt to start because I'm not getting caught like I did last time.
Right.
Doing it, like 2 weeks before school starts.
And then you'll have to too, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do love that you're thinking about that, so thank you.
Yeah, no, so we've already looked at it, and I'm waiting to see, if there's anything else that comes out, but we're still moving forward and still trying to figure it out.
You've done a great job. I mean, we're still in school.
Yeah, who would have known?
I never expected we would still be in school this whole time.
Yeah, I beat my own over under. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So
no, and it's not. I think, facilities management is a huge issue when it comes to COVID. I mean, that's half of the problem was facilities, right? And we have a great team here that really worked hard to get this up and running and doing what they need to do. So.
Yeah, I felt like they did anything that was asked. So we're very grateful.
Yeah, no, and I'm not always the easiest, so I appreciate them. So great. If there's not anything else, I'm good.
All right.
All right. I'm good too.
Me too. Thank you so much for everything you're doing, Frank.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All right.
Rob.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Trisha.